हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। सो आज कुछ तूफ़ानी करने वाले हैं एंड आई एम गोना इंट्रोड्यूस वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड हु हैज़ हिज एडवेंचर एंड ही हैज़ मॉडिफाइड हिज बाइक अकॉर्डिंग टू हिज नीड्स। सो अभी वो बाइक के बारे में मैं दिखाता हूँ और उसके बारे में आगे का इन्फॉर्मेशन भी दिखाते हैं। सो ये रही उसकी बाइक एंड ये रहे दिग्विजय। ही इज़ एक्टर, ही हैज़ वर्कड इन वेरियस वेब सीरीज़. So he'll talk about the modification that he has done and the things that he do in life.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Digvijay Sawant, popularly known as Diggy in my friend circle. So, a little about myself. This bike, the Adventure 390 that you see here, well, I'm the first member in my family in 2 generations to actually own a bike. So, yes, I'm the black sheep of the family, in a manner of speaking. I learned how to operate a bike in 2019, and in November 2019 I actually got my motorcycle license. So since then I started off on Avenger, a second-hand Avenger. Then I upgraded to Duke 250, and then when the Adventure 390 was launched, I said that I have to upgrade my skills and adapt to this bike. So I went ahead and got this one. This one's called MAO because she's named after, as we all bikers name our bikes, I named her after my cat, who passed away unfortunately during 2020. And but since then we've had some beautiful journeys together, and I'll tell you more about them a little later. So talking about journeys, especially with MAO, it is essential that your journeys are comfortable. So I have made a few modifications to this 390 as per my need and as per my taste and as per my requirement. So I'm not more of a trail guy, but more of a tourer, because I love going places with the 2 wheels under me. And therefore I'll just take you through a bit of modifications that I've done on my bike, and I'll start from the front and go all the way to the back. So to begin with, you can see this windshield, GV. It's really expensive, but I think it's worth every penny that you spend, because I have ridden from Bombay to Ladakh and back, and this thing has given me absolutely no trouble whatsoever. And yeah, it's also very stable up to, I've touched up to 160 on this bike, fully loaded, and there was no vibration, no wind blast, nothing. It was just comfortable. Moving on, this number plate bracket needed to be customized because there's a beak under the headlight.
The beak was essential because there were stones that were hitting
This headlight guard, which again is an accessory. It's a power part from KTM. The other thing that I'm sure most of ADV owners know, that these headlights are not as great for night rides. So therefore I've installed the Mad Dog Scout X. Moving on to the handle side of the bike, I have installed the Aom Handlebar along with the RAM mount, quick grip mount. And of course this is the Mad Dog installations. Of course the mirrors, again, I have customized it as per my requirement. I found the stock mirrors to be too small for visibility, so I found the X-Pulse mirrors were just brilliant. There is an ADV Conquest guard for the speedometer, and I've also installed the Flash X for hazard lights for highway riding and things like that. Then moving down to the engine guards, you can see the SS Motorcorp engine guards here, along with Prospec clamp holders. Now this is where in future I'm planning to install either Mad Dog Alpha or HJCs out here. This is again Prospec bottle holder, and that's Prospec footrest for highway riding. So most of this part out here is thanks to Prospec. I mean, it's a great company. Speaking of which, this is the important thing that you need. This is again Prospec. It's called Easy Clutch by Prospec. It just makes your clutch effortless. I mean, this is the operation. Now, this comes in handy where when you're doing trails, you need to feather your clutch, or in heavy traffic, bumper to bumper traffic, you don't, your fingers are just so relaxed because of this. So this is a recommended accessory, irrespective, whether it suits your taste or not, but it is recommended for the bike. Now, moving on to this side of the bike, these are biker belay fork protectors out here. And this is something by Pro Spec company again. It's called the Easy Brake. Now this comes in very handy because if you're on a trail and if your brake lever breaks, these have this mount itself has two pieces. So if at all your brake lever bends or breaks, you still have this top mount to go on to a safe place and get your bike repaired. So that is the recommended accessories. More so ever when you're saddling and when you're feathering your back brake on trails, your foot angle is not down. It's straight up and it's flat in line with your foot pegs. Speaking of which, I think I'm gonna upgrade my foot pegs because the only bits and niggles about this bike is that at around 4,500 RPM, you sense the vibration on foot pegs. So I'm still looking at an ideal foot peg that would take care of that issue. Moving on behind, this is the exhaust protector from, I think, Biker Belay again. These are the carbon racing saddle stays. Really recommended because they have three-point mount system, and these holes out here are they come in very handy to tie in your bungee cords with your saddlebags.
This is the Motorine tail rack for my top box. The top box itself is from JB Racing.
It's not a very exclusive one, but yeah, it does the job. It accommodates this helmet in there and bike papers, etc. And it's waterproof. Also, what I've done is I've installed the tail light system in this, so my brake light system in this. So every time I brake, these light up, just from a safety point of view. This essential accessory that is needed, which is the mud guard. Now the KTM company itself provided me this mud guard, and it's very handy. And although it doesn't not dirty your bike, but it decreases the amount of dirt that you would have to clean if that was not installed. And now coming to the most important niggle of this bike, which is the low end torque. Now most of us have replaced our front socket with 14 tooth, but there were issues by most of the riders that have posted online saying that the bike heats up and things like that, especially during traffic, and I didn't want any of that. So I started doing my research and I came across this solution. So I have the 15 tooth stock sprocket in the front, and this is the Aom 48 tooth rear sprocket. And believe me guys, after installing this sprocket, this bike, it's completely changed in terms of how it rides. Like I can actually do about 27 kilometers per hour on the fifth gear, and it does not stall as much. 27 to 30 kilometers in fifth, and it does not stall.
Now this really takes care of the low end torque issue.
I would recommend it for sure, but then it's up to you. If you prefer speed, then stick to the stock setup. But I prefer the low end torque, so yeah. And of course, for installing this, you will have to modify the chain a little. This is the stock chain from KTM, but I had to add on 4 links to this to accommodate the size of 48 tooth. And just below that, this is one accessory that is going to save your life, which is the center stand. It's going to save your life every time you are on long journey, every time you're doing more than 1,000 kilometers in one travel, because I lube my chain every 500 kilometers, and it's a pain to lube it on side stand. So this is where the center stand comes in very handy, especially when you're traveling as well. And as far as ground clearance is concerned, no, I don't think it affects ground clearance as much, because through all the trails in Ladakh, I have never encountered any problems as such. I mean, and those terrains are good testing grounds. So I was quite happy and satisfied with this. So yeah, and the most important thing is if you are into highway riding, you definitely need this. Because nobody on the highway listens to a bike coming from behind. So this actually is within the legal decimal limit, and it actually helps on the highway. A friend of mine actually had an unfortunate accident
Because the truck driver couldn't hear him from behind.
during our Ladakh trip. So yes, that's an important mod which is recommended. So yeah, I guess that's about it, and I hope you've enjoyed. And of course, no bike looks like this one, but since this is MAO, I have wrapped it with Wrap and Ride's custom wrap, and I think the vinyl is fantastic. It's highly recommended that you patiently wait till you get your vinyl from Wrap and Rides. They take a little time, but they deliver seriously good quality product. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed.
So अभी हमारा शूट करके हो गया है एंड आई विल थैंक डिगी ओवर हियर. So thank you so much for taking out time, and this is a wonderful bike जो आपने देख चुके हैं, डिटेल्स आपको मिल गया है. So what I'll do is I'll end this video over here. You can follow me on my Instagram ID at silentbiker_kv. चलो, bye bye.